From battlefield to barista menu. The surprising history behind the Americano. Imagine standing in a war-torn country, craving something that reminds you of home. For American soldiers stationed in Italy during World War II, that comfort came in the form of coffee. But the tiny, concentrated espresso shots they were offered in Italian cafes were a world apart from the large mugs of mild drip coffee they were used to. What they did next not only changed how they consumed coffee, but helped invent a new global classic, the Americano. When soldiers met espresso, the Americano is not just a diluted espresso, it is a story soaked in culture, war, and adaptation. Its roots go back to the 1940s, when American GIs were deployed across Europe. In Italy, coffee was not just a drink, it was a ritual. Espresso was served strong, short, and quickly. For Italians, it was an efficient burst of energy, a tradition enjoyed while standing at the café bar. For Americans, however, the intense flavor and small portion felt foreign, even jarring. They longed for the familiar comfort of a full cup of coffee that could be sipped slowly. The espresso dilemma. The espresso machines used in Italy at the time were designed for speed and concentration. What came out was thick, dark, and crowned with a rich crema. But for Americans accustomed to the lighter, filtered brews of home, often poured from percolators and served in diners, this intense beverage wasn't what they wanted. So, in search of something more familiar, they began asking the local baristas to add hot water to the espresso. The result was a longer drink that still retained the soul of espresso, but with a smoother, milder taste. This improvised solution quickly caught on, and the Italians began calling it café Americano, literally, American coffee. The cultural exchange in a cup. What's fascinating about the Americano is how it reflects a moment of cultural negotiation. It wasn't the Americans forcing their version of coffee on the Italians, nor the Italians imposing their traditions on the soldiers. Instead, it was a middle ground, a shared creation that met the desires of both sides. The espresso gave the drink its depth and identity, the added water made it accessible and comforting. In that sense, the Americano became not just a beverage, but a small symbol of how two cultures, brought together by the chaos of war, could find common ground in the simplest of pleasures. How the Americano traveled the world. When the war ended and soldiers returned home, many of them carried the taste and memory of the Americano with them. As espresso machines eventually made their way into American cafes and later coffeehouse chains like Starbucks, the Americano became a familiar option on menus around the world. Today, you can find it in almost every coffee shop, from Milan to Manhattan, from Istanbul to Melbourne. It's loved by those who want something bolder than drip coffee but less intense than a straight espresso. In many ways, the Americano represents a bridge between brewing cultures, a hybrid that honors both its European roots and American tastes. The long black connection. Interestingly, in countries like Australia and New Zealand, a similar drink emerged called the long black. Though nearly identical in ingredients, hot water and espresso, the preparation is slightly different. In a long black, hot water is poured into the cup first, and then espresso is added on top, preserving the crema. In an Americano, it's usually the other way around. While this might seem like a minor difference, for coffee purists and baristas, it makes all the difference in flavor, texture, and presentation. Making the perfect Americano today. To make an Americano today, the process remains simple. You begin with 1 or 2 shots of espresso, depending on how strong you like it. Then, hot water, ideally just off the boil, is added to stretch the drink to the desired volume. Some people like to pour the water first to create a gentler flavor and preserve the crema, while others prefer to brew espresso first and pour water afterward. Either method is valid, depending on personal preference. The result is a drink that is more than just a weaker espresso. It has its own distinct flavor profile, with the clarity of water enhancing the roast notes of the beans. Why the Americano still matters in a world full of cold brews, nitros, and ultra-creative coffee concoctions, the Americano remains refreshingly simple. Its appeal lies in its story. Born from the practical needs of war, sustained by cross-cultural curiosity, and preserved by generations of coffee drinkers who appreciate balance. It's a drink that reminds us that sometimes, the best creations are those born out of necessity and shaped by human connection. The Americano is more than a diluted espresso. It's a reflection of history in a cup.